Hi again. So this video is hopefully only going to be about 10 minutes long. I'm going to try to keep it short. But essentially, we are going to start using the prep much more frequently now. And we're going to use it as a tool for creating some organization and structure that will hopefully be my way to check in with you, your way to communicate with me what you're working on, as it's going to be a lot less instruction and a lot more of you conducting research and creating your tools on your own. Of course, we're still going to meet synchronously, and we're going to meet one-on-one as well in our work in progress meetings. So over here on the left, there is this category for the prep. I will probably move it up closer to the top. And then within the prep category, the first thing that we have posted here is, of course, the document. There's also this overview that you were asked to read earlier in the semester that sort of explains why we have the prep and what it's for. When you go to college, oftentimes your program will ask you to create a portfolio. And that portfolio is your evidence of learning. It's your evidence of your process and how you conducted yourself or conducted your activities during the course. So you're going to keep all of these different things in your prep and provide me a link so that I can review them on a weekly or every other week schedule. So let's take a look at the actual document. We've seen this, we've gone over it, but I want to talk about the sections that we're going to use pretty regularly. So in edit mode, so not in presentation mode, in edit mode, you will need to, I keep forgetting I'm in edit mode here. Go ahead down to the weekly work section. Okay. Now in the weekly work section, which is the very first one, this is the section that's going to be used the most. You should have a calendar or a link to your calendar in here. We're going to talk about that during the week in progress meetings or the work in progress meetings. And I am going to ask you to do this. You can create a calendar that's like a table and paste it in there. You can use a link to your Google Calendar if that works for you. But it is where I'm going to ask you to create the activities and schedule in your time that you're going to work on the steps to reach your goals. Okay, so I'm going to need a calendar. The goals is what we're going to focus on this first week as we use the prep. And what we're going to talk about in our work in progress meetings on Tuesday is setting a short-term goal and setting a long-term goal. So for example, right now, a short-term goal might be completing the inquiry proposal form and getting that submitted. Okay, and you can see there's some different tasks on here. Some of you are doing things like evaluating your sources for credibility, drawing conclusions about your topic. These are just early ones, most of them, but you can see over here, review and revise your first draft of your academic paper, things like preparing your survey questions. And maybe in a particular week, you want to prepare up to 10 questions that could be reviewed and edited by a peer. That would be a very specific, measurable goal. So remember, we want to use, still using SMART goals. You guys know how to do that. We want to make sure they're specific, measurable, achievable, right? Relevant and time constrained. So, a specific measurable goal for a week, that would be your short term. And then your long term might be something that would take you out to the end of the semester, or it might be something that's only going to take you maybe 3 weeks, but it's not something you're going to fit within the one calendar week. Okay. So longer term goals might be things like right now, creating the first draft of your literature review, or creating the first 10 questions of the survey that you're going to use. So here we have a place for you to document your goals. So what is the short term or the task that you're going to need to complete? So we would put in here perhaps your inquiry proposal. I realize this is looking very small. You can change your font to be whatever you want it to do. So these would be the smaller tasks, the steps you'd need to take, perhaps if you need resources. So maybe you would need to look for some more sources that maybe could help you create your questions. Maybe you need to look up some websites that might have information regarding something in your topic. For your inquiry proposal, it's really going to be, gathering up the information from your first poster presentation. Okay. When do you want to complete it? Well, it has a due date that we assigned it, right? Or that I assigned it, which was the 22nd of November. So I'll put that date in there, and then you'll leave this blank until it's finished. Now that's a short-term goal. Now I'm going to ask you to create, as I said, a long-term goal as well. So it'll be up to you how you want to go about your long-term goals. So perhaps you want to create a step-by-step process through which you're going to get out your surveys or your questionnaires. Maybe it is creating the survey. Maybe it is, as I said, drafting the lit review. So let's put in here first draft of literature review. So that might be the first thing. Now over here, what do I need? You need your annotated bibliographies, right? Because those are your sources. So you need your annotated sources. You probably need to refer back to student workbook lessons. It was 4, 5, 6, and 8. Okay. Maybe you need to review chapter 3 in the practical research text. So these are smaller tasks. Now, when do you need to have it done? You need to have your first draft of your lit review done on the 29th of November. Okay. Will we push it out? Maybe. It'll depend on where we are and how much time you need, but let's put that in there for now. Okay. So that's a short-term and a long-term goal. Now, something I like to do is I like to color code things. So what I might do is my short-term goal, I might make that red because I know that's coming soon. This one is only 2 weeks away. Maybe I will make this one yellow so that it's on my radar. And then the rest I would probably just leave alone. I might even color code some of these smaller tasks in the order that I want to get them done. I probably, rather than using commas, should have used separate lines so that I could see them one at a time. I think that one of the things that you will want to have on your short-term list is create a calendar. Because then I can put each of these smaller tasks on my calendar and I can make sure that I have created time for that. All right, so that's the goal setting. And we'll talk about your goals. We'll set some goals. You'll set your goals and then you'll share them with me. So that's one thing to get you started. I am going to start checking for the weekly log. Now, the weekly log has a lot of words on it. It's really just different questions that you should ask yourself as you go through the process to reflect on your work. Your work, I will use some of these questions as we do our work in progress meeting for reflection. So what will happen is we'll have our work in progress meeting and we'll fill this out. Most of this in the beginning, this is stuff that came right off of your poster, right off of your initial very first poster project. It might have changed, which means you can go in and create a second one of these documents. Just duplicate the slides. And you can change it and see where it says, has this changed since last week? That alerts me to the fact that you have evolved your topic or evolved a part of it. And then what will happen is in here, you're going to put some help that you need. And then these reflection questions, I will assign you during our work in progress. So basically, they will come from this previous area, the quest questions, and I will say, I'd like you to answer this question or this question. And then it might be an individualized question that is just specific to you and your research, okay? While I'm not allowed to give a lot of summative feedback, like, oh, this part of your lit review really needs to have better synthesis, I can ask you some leading questions. Things like, I'd like you to take a look and tell me in your reflection how your perspective of students relates to the perspective from administration. And that is me asking you to clarify in your writing or in your information. So here, each time we meet, so starting next week, you will make a list or just log what we talked about to help you remember. So you'll just put, met with Miss Calendar or met on, that'll be November 17th, and discussed whatever it is we talked about. Creating a calendar, the inquiry proposal, what I might need for an IRB. So whatever it is that we talk about, okay? And then reflect on the meeting itself. I would have felt better prepared if I had this done, or I felt really prepared. I feel like I'm in a good place right now. Something like that. Okay. As you read through your sources, you might want to put information in here that you think is important. You might not. This is for your benefit. If it doesn't work for you, then put a link in here to maybe some of your sources or some of your evaluation notes. Maybe put a photo in here of some of your annotated sources if you're doing it by hand. Just something that will show progress. And then, of course, in your annotated bibliography section, link your bibliographies in here. I know you've done them in Google Docs. Just put a share link in here so it's a view link so that I can view them. And that will keep it current. And as it changes, put a new link in so that I can see your current annotated bibliography. Now, as I said, these other sections are going to come later, but I would like to show you that under the academic paper section, there is a specific area to put your introduction and lit review. So once we get to the point where you have a really strong draft or you have a draft started of your lit review, I want you to put the link in here. A shared link is just fine, or you can, of course, embed the document if you want to, if you know how to do that. Otherwise, a share link is just fine, something that will take me to it and allow me to see it. Because eventually, we're going to be looking at these things together as one document, and that will make it easier for me to see how one document continues into the next. All right, so I do believe that's it for right now. You may be linking your sources. I already showed you where the inquiry proposal goes. If you want to do your inquiry proposal here, you can, or you can put a link to the document outside. And then you might want to be putting your links in here where your research is. All right, so that is the prep and how we're going to get started with it. Like I said, for right now, the section you really need to be focused on is the weekly work section, because that is going to become a weekly requirement. I am going to look at it starting next week. All right, so that's it for this video. I will probably put more of these together as we continue on, as I'm finding things we need to talk about. I think the next one is very likely going to be the lit review, and then the following will be about expert advisors. All right, you guys, I will see you in our meeting.